Welcome to Desi Return Diaries, Embracing Home Again, the podcast that shares personal journeys and expert insights on returning to India. I'm your host, Avinash Pedi, here to guide and inspire you on your Desi return journey. Hello, everyone. It's Avinash here. Welcome to another episode of Desi Return Podcast. Hope you're all enjoying your summer. I am really excited today to have Prashanthi on our call today. She has lived in US and relocated to India, and she has been living here. And she has a specific mission, which is very intriguing and very interesting, which we will dive a little bit more into. And I'm really excited to have Prashanthi on the call today. Welcome, Prashanthi, to the show.
Hi, Avinash. Thank you so much for having me on this call today. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Great. So glad to have you here. So let's get started with a little bit about your background, your academic professional background. When did you move to abroad, and what motivated you to come back to India? I think that definitely would help understanding for our audience to understand a bit more about you.
Sure, Avinash. So I come from a chemical engineering background. I did my bachelor's from MBGR College of Engineering in Vizianagaram, and then I did my master's in chemical engineering from Andhra University. So I passed out in 2005, and then I always aspired to be in India, and with that vision, I also applied for UPSC civil services. I prepared for a period of 3 years, and I did give good attempts. Where I reached till mains, and then I couldn't clear further. But India was always a ground in which I always wanted to live. I got married in 2008, and then we had to relocate to US in the year 2010, considering my spouse's deputation or L2 visa, L1 visa into US. So that's how I had to relocate along with my husband and my son. So in 2010, we used to live in Phoenix. Phoenix, and we visited all the places nearby. It was really a good stay. We stayed there for a period of 3 years. And then we made a decision to come back to India in 2013. Even though we had a visa till 2014, we were very particular about coming back to India because my son was 3 years old by then. And we were very sure that if he grows up a little more, he wouldn't want to come back to India. So that's how we made a decision. It was really tough because at that time when the US, there was no gun culture and no gun shootings and all. And it was really peaceful. And however, we had few challenges which also triggered us to move back to India, where there was a point where I was hospitalized for something, and my husband had to take care of everything, and there was no one to support him. And it was really tough for him to handle as a baby. He was like 2.5 years old. I was in the hospital, and there was no one beside him to take care of. But when it comes to India, you have the entire family with you, taking care of everything, and then at least you have the freedom to go through the sadness in India when it is there. At least go take care of your loved ones. But in US, it is always under pressure. So that is one thing that also triggered us to move back to India.
Yeah, for sure. As you said, even you have friends and you have been living in abroad for a few years, it's still not as easy as it is in India when you have like an extended, bigger family, and it's a little bit more flexible than it is in US, which is much more structured from Monday to Friday. Even though the friends are willing to help, they are busy with their own daily lives, so which makes it much more difficult. I think most of people can correlate to even it could be like a simple sickness. Both parents are sick with cold, for example. The kids are by themselves when they're young, nobody to take care of them, or people can definitely correlate to that. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Cool. So sounds like you always have this in mind of returning back to India and being in India, since beginning from the get-go, and there are some trigger points that kind of solidified your plan to relocate back to India.
That's right.
And yeah, go ahead, please.
No, the trigger points were the first thing was the hospitalization part, and the second thing was missing the family, right? So whenever you want to spend time with good ones, not every time your friends are available, you know. But when it comes to family, you can just go sit with your family, talk, chit chat, and come back. And yeah, it was, there were a few good moments in the US where, yes, we had good time with our friends, where we used to go for trips, family trips. And, we used to all take a home together and live together and cook together. So that was a good thing, but that's not possible in India. But still, you keep missing your family. You can't be as, free with your family. I mean, you cannot be as free as you are with your family. When you are with your friends, you have certain limitations and certain things that you need to take care of. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So if you can talk a little bit about, I think, your decision to move back to India, to the actual moving date. Are there any logistics or planning that you want to highlight, or because you have always planned to be in India, maybe you are already thinking along those lines, whether it's on the financial side, investment side, or anything like that, from a career or whatever, or anything that you can share from a decision to actual move, like any logistics, anything that you went through that you want to bring up to the audience here.
Yeah. So a few things I just wanted to let you know, and I'm sure a lot of audience also relate to this. Right. When we were in the US, I was always skeptical about, coming back to India. And, in the US, I was working. I had my own identity career, but still I had to, rush up to my son's school to pick him up. And he was at a daycare. And there was always a pressure that, okay, there's a work, then you have to come home, wash your dishes, take care of your household chores, and then again go back to work. There were meetings at the end of the day again. So the whole week was with a lot of pressure, and sometimes over the weekends it used to spread. Where there were calls and meetings during, if there is any launch, production launch, and all, you have to extend your weekend as well. So those were few things that were difficult to handle. But when it came back to we moving back to India, I always had a question in mind whether I'll find the right job, whether I'll be able to take care of my son in the same way that I was doing in the US. Because in the US you find a good daycare which has like 1:8 ratio for teacher and student, but India you find the schools are too crowded. So and the second thing is having a career, having someone taking care of your son once they come home. And it is really some parents feel terrified even to send the kid to a school in India in a school bus. Even I was like that. But as we moved back to India, I realized that people in India are more understanding. In the US, I didn't even know who was my neighbor. It was really scary. There was one neighbor who was living, and then one day a police, a few constables came in, and police people came in, and they were checking the home. There was a domestic violence case. They were Mexicans, I guess. So yeah, it was really scary for us. We didn't even know who they were. Right. So in India, it is not like that. You can just inform your neighbor and let them know, and they'll take care of you things, even if you are late from the office a couple of times. Yeah. But that is something that I observed that in India, it is really cool to handle few things where you can't depend on someone in the US. Where another very important thing I realized is if you make a small mistake in the US, your entire India reflects there. You need to be very careful in how you handle yourself, how you carry yourself in the US region. But in India, it is like your home country. You can do as per the culture, whatever the society is, and how you are requested, how you are expected to. Yeah. But in India, you can't. In US, you can't follow the same.
Mhm.
Right? So there are certain things, there is a lot of difference, and I found it took honestly, it took 3-4 years for me to adjust to the Indian culture and environment back. But now I feel really good, really happy, taking care of my family. Today I live with my parents, my in-laws, my husband, my son. We all live together, and it's really wonderful. Hard if it is in US, I can't take everyone to US and then we can live there. It's not possible. Even if I have a green card and citizenship, it's not possible, right? So
No, no,
yeah,
thank you for sharing that candid conversations, right? I think how busy our lives are, the career, taking care of the family, completing the chores, so that can lead to the weekends. It's a little bit in a fast pace, trying to, get the things done. And it's great to hear. I mean, such a big family, like your parents, your in-laws, and everybody staying together. It's
yeah.
definitely not feasible if you're not living in India for sure. So,
Yeah, honestly, to be frank, right, I should really thank my parents and in-laws for, adjusting. And they have been with us together for last 6 months. I
okay.
did not hear a single fight. They
Oh,
are very pleasant. They are very calm, adjusting with each other.
yeah.
My mom-in-law gives all the flowers in the morning. My mother does the puja with those flowers.
Oh,
And they adjust so well. I really I appreciate and I thank God for this kind of family where
okay.
we all are able to survive and live together.
Maybe we
It's
should
pretty
have another
difficult.
episode to talk about how you are able to manage these dynamics in the family, because that would be interesting topic for somebody there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
sure.
it's good. Maybe let's dive a little bit into the conversation that you mentioned earlier. I think you were working in US, and when you're trying to move back to India, you would like to have the same flexibility in terms of taking care of the family, but still continuing to work
Yes.
and so on. So maybe you can talk a little bit of how you approach that. Have you started applying for jobs, or have you thought about doing something? Maybe you can shed some light in terms of how you plan to do about how you did,
Sure.
from a career transition.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Thank you for asking, Ramesh. So, when we relocated to US, my son was like 7 months old, and he was very young. He was just learning to walk, and then I was struggling to have an identity because I was working in India before my marriage. I had to quit because of getting married, getting relocated, and then I definitely wanted to have a career for myself. And I was searching for. It took 1 year for me to just search for a job which could give me a little bit of flexibility where I could take care of my son, who was 7, 8 months old then, and also support my husband with all the household chores and all. But there was a burning desire to have an identity for myself, and I was looking for remote opportunities, a flexible remote opportunity, which could help me with all these things. However, all I could find was a day job where I had to leave my 18. By then it was like my son was 18 months old, and I had to leave him in a daycare and go to work. It was really painful for me, and it was very a lot of pressure was there to balance everything. So when I discussed this issue with other women, I understood that women typically made two choices. One is to go through the same pain that I was going through, where they also left their kids at daycare and went to work. By 3:30, everyone was packing their bags and then go to their daycares and pick up the kids. And then the second set of women, they made a choice to forget their careers, forget an identity, and take care of the family. That is where it triggered for me that why not women have flexible work opportunity? Because when we graduated or post-graduated, we were equally competing with men. We used to do night outs. We used to, our vision was to get 75%, 80% distinctions in our studies as well. But why should that change the, dynamics after marriage, after you relocate with your husband, after you change your family? Why should it change? Why should it matter? That is how I had a very strong vision that if I am creating something, I should help my community. I should help my group of women who are falling in the same bucket like me, who have big degrees like postgraduate, graduate in engineering, graduate in different other educational domains, but they are left with no choice but to just take care of the family. Some people are really in a dire situation where they don't even find remote opportunities. So that is how it triggered, like, if I'm going to do something, yes, I'll do it for my community, where a tribe of women who are like me and who are looking for an identity and also have flexibility for themselves. That is how I started my company Cloud Portal in the year 2014, once I relocated to India. That is when I collaborated with one of my friends. She used to work for me from Bangalore, and I was working from Hyderabad. And we created this company with a vision of creating employment for women in technology space and remote working opportunities, focusing more on remote working opportunities. Even the idea of remote working was in 2010, between 2011 and 12, when I was working in the US. There were moments where I used to work from home because my son was not feeling well, or the climate was very hot. There were some reasons because of which I used to work from home, couple of few months for a few days, something like that. I understood that yes, with technology it is possible to work remotely. Now, how do I take this technology support to make sure that I build a tribe of women who can work from their comfort of their homes?
Yeah.
So that is how I started in 2014. However, honestly speaking, till 2019, I was not able to create a platform for women. It was very gender neutral. We used to have men and women. We used to work. But in 2019, I really felt very sad because I was not able to meet the cause for which I started.
Yeah.
It was I was not able to train more women into the workspace or in the technology, because I come from a chemical engineering background.
Yeah.
I always had to depend on other people, other women, other trainers to coach my women workforce. That is how I diverted or deviated more towards marketing, sales, and customer support, which does not demand women to work from office, because we don't have a secure encrypted data to work on. It is more like you keep marketing a particular product, service, or solution for a particular client, and you don't have to really sit in the office where the servers are located, where the encrypted data is there. So you don't have that kind of a requirement. So that's where we started training more women into marketing, sales, and customer support. Today we have like 100 plus team members, and 70% of our women are working from across India. I have one person who is a freelancer working from Uganda, and one of my team members working from Saudi as well. So this is how my team is spread. I would really be glad to add more women into my team. I'm really looking forward to a lot of opportunities where I can bring in more women who can build their careers, build their identities for themselves, and at the same time take care of their family and work from home at the comfort. Yeah, that's how I'm looking.
I just wanted to say congratulations. I mean, it's not a easy thing, especially what you have to go through, and you're trying to solve for the community, right? I think the group of women who might be in the same boat, whoever it could be, I think, you just wanted to have that uh, flexible work style with an identity for themselves, and able to build a team for 100 people. I mean, I just have to say, congratulations and applause for that. I think it's not a small feast, and having the people from all around the world, with your vision and mission to help them out. So
thank you so
great
much.
job.
So I'll tell you how my women workforce also work. Okay, there are few people like me. Even I wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And 5 o'clock is where we check our emails. There are 4 or 5 team members who wake up early, and we check from 5 to 7:30. We are logged in. From 7:30 to 9:30, it is a family time. We'll take care of our family, send lunch boxes, whatever we have to prepare, we'll prepare. Again, we relog in at 10:30. From 10:30 to 3:30 is our office time, and we do all the office work. 3:30 to 5:30 is kids' time. That is where kids return from school, and then we have to take care of them, give them some time. And from 5:30, we relog in till 7 o'clock we work. So there are few women who created this kind of a
schedule.
work timing schedule.
Yeah.
So they support the work, they support their family, and also take care of the basic chores that they have to. So I really am glad, because there are few women who keep texting me early morning and I keep replying to them. And there are few women who work late in the night. They take up after their kids are asleep, they work till 12 o'clock. And I really respect them, because I'm not a night owl, but I'm an early morning person. So yeah, so we give them time even when they are on a vacation. We make sure that we are not disturbing them. And yeah, that's really how we work. And I really would like to thank all those women who are passionate, basically passionate to build their identity.
Yeah.
There are women who took a sabbatical for 7-8 years, and they were rejected by many companies because they had a long break in their careers. But those are the women who find solace in our company, because we encourage those women, we train them back into workforce, we train them on where their strengths lie, and that's how we bring them back into the workforce.
No, definitely. I think again, kudos to what you're doing, and creating that environment to bring the people who are passionate and who wants to get back to the career, or and still have that flexible schedule, and providing that kind of opportunities is not easy. And thank you for doing that. Yeah, from the bottom
Thank
of
you
the heart.
so much. Thank you so much, Anish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think since you have been living in India for almost, I think since 2014, it's I think getting close to 9 years. So uh, if people are looking for somebody who might be working in India, like from and when they're trying to transition to India, either on a career transition or like starting a new business, are there any insights that you would give to those aspirant returnees? Uh,
You
if it's
mean,
if it's like a business, right? I mean, there are things that you have to go through, or anything that you give as an advice of people who are thinking along those lines.
you mean people who are in the US and they are trying to relocate to
Yeah,
India?
so people who are abroad and who are planning to relocate to India from a career transition, or from career to business transition, or anything like that. So based on your experience, so in your case, you have changed, transition from a professional career to like an entrepreneur, trying to help these women, right? I think, but you have also worked with other people, other women in this area, or maybe based on your interaction with other companies, or working in the in a professional way in India. Any advice for people who are transitioning from abroad to India, from a career wise, or from like setting up their own business? Anything that you can
Sure.
share or want to
So,
share?
especially if we have women or even men who want to relocate back to India. So I have seen many who are contemplating, who are still in a dilemma for 4 years, 5 years, and then they are not sure whether they can afford the same lifestyle that they are affording in US or in other abroad, and if they can afford the same lifestyle in India. That is the main concern that many people I have seen have raised. So what I understood is, yes, it will take, honestly speaking, it will take time for you to adjust when you come back to India. It is not that everything will be as smooth as possible in the first day. On the first day, the moment you land, it won't look like US. That is for sure. You have to get used to seeing a lot of people. Okay, and you have to get used to seeing a lot of traffic issues. Especially, that was one concern that I always had, that people in US follow so much of lane discipline. Why don't we in India? Yeah, India is almost crowded, so yeah, you can't expect everyone to be disciplined. So these are small issues which can be ignored if you are looking at a greater purpose of taking care of your elderly parents, and you are relocating because of that. Or if you really want to come back to India and you want your children to follow Indian culture and Indian traditions, and you want to teach them, and you have taken a decision, or you are still contemplating on taking a decision, yes, India is the place where it's going to be next big thing. It did take time for me. I'm telling honestly that it took 4 years for me to, getting adjusted. And it's certainly going to take time for you as well. But yes, If you are still thinking, but 10 years back, it was very difficult. There was no 2G, 3G in India. So working from home was a nightmare. It was very rare. But now I don't see any difficulty because 5G is coming in, 4G is already there. You can connect from any part of India. The entire India is connected to a network. And I don't see any difference in working from India or any part of the world. For working part, yes, you will have good number of opportunities. You will have good number of people to work with in India. The second part is people typically, when we come back to India, we are always concerned about the schools, right? Whether our kids get adjusted to the schools. Honestly speaking, if your kid is less than 6 years of age, he would be forgetting his US life in 3 to 4 months. He will get adjusted, but you just have to give them the flexibility, give them the time to get adjusted. Okay, you can't force them to go to school. Yes, if they don't like to go to school, probably you may want to use other means, like in Sanskrit they have samadana bheda danda. So you may have to use all these means to make sure that they are surviving for 3-4 months. After that, they'll get adjusted. That is for sure. So that is how it is. If you are looking for good schools, there are good schools in India. There are international schools. There are international curriculums. And India is now not what it was 10 years back. It has grown. It has evolved over time.
Yeah.
And India is now the G20. It hits the G20, so it's really growing very well. So if you are making a decision and still contemplating, I think it is the time you have to come back if you are looking at it. Don't hesitate thinking of anything else. Like you won't get opportunities, or if your kids get adjusted, everything will fall in place if you are coming back. You just have to take the first step to come back.
Yeah, sure. So I think you kind of touched about this point a couple of times. So it took you about 4 years to adjust, right? I think after moving back to, maybe you can give 1 or 2 examples, like the things that took you longer, and just so that people can correlate. I think, and as you said, India has come along a long way in the last 10 years. So those same things might not be applicable. What it could be applicable in 2014, in 2023, for example. So maybe you can highlight some of the things that you have to go through for the adjustment. And do you see the same concerns if somebody is considering to move in 2023, 2024, for example? I think that would be helpful to the audience or the future aspirants.
Yeah, certainly. So when we relocated to India, work from home was not an option. There was no choice. We had to go to office and work and take care of the kids. Then the school bus used to arrive, and then I used to feel very bad because I used to travel from high-tech city to Kukatpalli, pick my son, and my son was more interested into tennis. Now I had to take him from Kukatpalli to Boinpalli for his tennis coaching.
Yeah.
And traveling through the traffic and coming home and then taking this kid and then helping him pursue his area of interest. It was really annoying and tough. In US, if you say, in any other country abroad, you say the traffic is very smooth. Yes, you get stuck in traffic sometimes, but yes, at least the traffic is smooth. You have other flexibilities. So that is something that was bothering me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are able to afford the same financial things in India, your life will be much smoother. Second thing is, for women, specifically for women, we have a challenge with early morning. We have to wake up. We have to do cooking. We have to take care of the lunch boxes for the entire family. If you have 2 kids, you have a husband, you have to take care of 4 lunch boxes that you have to make. Now, if your kids have choice where they don't want to eat certain things, probably you end up doing a little bit more of work. But the beauty in India is you can hire maids. Okay, you can hire help who can help you with the cooking. You can help you with your dishes and all. Where in the US, you have to do everything by yourself. You can't, or in any part of the world, right? It's very difficult to hire a help, and it takes up half of your salary. Whereas in India, you can afford to make and create an employment for someone who is in need.
Yeah.
Right. So that is one part which I really loved it, because 4 years, I did not have a maid. So I had to cook everything. I had to make sure that my family is well fed, at least during the lunch. And it was a tough call. Then we had a cook who joined us in 2015-16, and that's where things went on a little smoother.
Yeah.
If you want to drive in traffic in the US, you don't have any other choice but to sit in front of your steering and waiting for the traffic to get cleared. But in India, you can have a driver for yourself. You can a good driver is like 18 to 20,000. You can afford a good driver who can take care of your commute, your kids' commute, and your entire family's commute. And you will create an opportunity for one person more. Right. So this is how you can make your life flexible with when you are in India. But yeah, if you are abroad, you may not be able to afford all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So, is there any topic that we haven't covered that you want to bring up to the audience, related to anyone thinking about moving back to India? Anything that we haven't covered that you want to convey?
Yeah. So one thing I have, like whenever I meet, I do have friends in the US who still say they want to come back to India, but they are not sure when. And their kids are fast growing up. And there were few friends who, when I was working in the US, then I used to ask them why you are not relocating to India. They used to say, no, my kids don't like to go back to India. And the India is too crowded. They don't like, they are happy here. That's how most of the people are stuck. Most of the people, at least of my age, are stuck making a decision whether to come back or to stay back. So honestly, I would say, don't think. If you are looking to come back, just come back. Don't ask anyone, because everyone's experience is different. I have seen people who keep asking everyone, how is it when you come back to India? Is it very difficult to get adjusted? Is it easy to get adjusted? Can I find this? Can I find this? So honestly speaking, you will find everything. You will not find much of a difference after 6 months. You will just be happy coming back to India, staying in your own country. And there are communities in India where you can find high-level living as well. You can see the same culture as in the US or in any part of the world. But the only thing that stops you from coming back is you. Nobody is stopping you. It is only you, your mindset, that is stopping, because you have all the doubts in your mind, which are not factual, okay, which are just imaginary. And you just imagine that kids may not like it. You may just imagine that it may be difficult. But honestly speaking, if you come back and stay for 1 year or 2 years, you will get adjusted and you will feel happy about it. That's all I could say.
Yeah, I mean, again, everybody's experience is
Yes,
different,
different.
and sometimes, you could get confused. But again, this is a big decision, and sometimes people think a lot, overthink, and some of the advice I have heard is like, spend some time in India. So it's not, you're not coming as a tourist, maybe try to be here for 2-3 months, living by yourself to feel the ecosystem and make a decision. I think you don't have to delay that decision process for unknown fear factors, which might not be factual.
Correct. That's right. That's right. Certainly, we are always bound by these fears, and we are not sure. We imagine things which are not even there, and that makes a decision difficult.
Yeah, that's great. So thank you very much. Before we jump on to rapid four, I just wanted to say, thanks for your time and sharing your story. So we have like a quick 4 questions that we ask all our guests. So the first one is, surprise thing after you return to India.
My son left the school.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And what's your favorite travel destination in India?
Chikmagalur.
Okay. And a favorite Indian dish or a restaurant?
I'm a vegetarian. Paneer.
Okay.
Anything on paneer is good.
Is good. And then the favorite part of living in India?
I'm living with my mom-in-law, father-in-law, my mother and father, all in one place, one home.
That's definitely one more episode to capture, how you manage that. But it's definitely would be intriguing to the people.
Sure.
So with that said, thank you very much for taking your time and sharing your story. and especially congratulations and kudos to what you have done in terms of empowering women to have their own identity with at the same time having the flexibility to manage the family commitments or whatnot. So really congratulate on that. And then I would like to have you tell the audience how they can reach out to you, because somebody might be interested to know more about how you are helping other women, or maybe they might have other questions. So how can they reach out to you?
They can always send out an email to me on my email address, that is koluru81@gmail.com.
Great. So I think that's all, folks, for today. Once again, thank you very much, Prashanthi, for taking the time and sharing your story, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Avinash. Thank you for having me on the show. I would like to thank all the audience for watching this video. Please take a decision. And yes, if you want to stay back, please stay back. If you want to come back, please come back. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you all for joining us on this insightful journey of Desi Return. If you enjoyed this episode and want to explore more stories and expert advice, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts and experiences. By the way, check out the links in the description below for our Facebook group and social media for updates and engaging discussions, as well as connecting with fellow Desi Returners. Thank you once again, and until next time, may your Desi Return journey be filled with joy, growth, and endless possibilities.